There comes a moment in every person's life when you realize you've been giving too much of yourself to everyone else. You've been comparing, pleasing, chasing validation, and shrinking your own light just to fit into spaces that were never made for your truth. You scroll through social media, you watch others achieve, and somehow you start to measure your worth by their progress. But here's the truth. The only person you need to compete with, the only person you must focus on is you. The greatest transformation begins the moment you stop looking around and start looking within. You are not behind. You are simply on your own path. The noise around you, people's opinions, judgments, expectations. It can drown your voice if you let it. But when you get still, when you turn your focus inward, you begin to hear something stronger than noise. Your own intuition, that inner knowing, is the voice that will never lie to you. Comparison is a thief of peace. There is a quiet thief that lives in our minds, one that doesn't break in through the door or take what's on your shelf, but slowly steals something far more valuable: your peace. That thief is comparison. It sneaks in when you scroll through social media, when you see someone else succeed, when you watch another person living the life you've dreamed of, and it whispers in your ear, you're not enough. Every single time you compare your journey to someone else's, you are not just measuring progress. You are questioning your own worth. You begin to look at what they have, what they've achieved, what they've become, and somewhere inside, you start to feel smaller. You start to think you're behind, that you've failed, that you're missing something essential. But the truth is, you're not behind, and you haven't failed. You're simply on your path, and it doesn't have to look like anyone else's. The world teaches us to compete. It tells us that success has a certain look, a certain speed, a certain formula. But life isn't a race. It's a journey of personal evolution. Some people bloom early, others take time. Flowers in the same garden don't bloom at the same hour, yet each adds beauty in its own season. You must stop measuring your spring by someone else's summer. When you focus too much on others, your energy scatters. You spend so much time observing their progress that you forget to take your own steps forward. And here's the truth. Energy flows where attention goes. The more you feed the habit of comparison, the more you drain the strength needed to grow. But when you redirect that same energy inward, when you invest that time in understanding and nurturing and building yourself, your life begins to shift. Peace doesn't come from outperforming others. It comes from becoming the best version of yourself. You don't find fulfillment by chasing someone else's dream. You find it by honoring your own. It takes courage to look at someone else's success and say, good for them, while still believing my time will come. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. It means you understand that life's timing is divine, and comparison only distracts you from the beauty of your own unfolding. You were not created to be like anyone else. You were created to be you. To live, to learn, to evolve in your own rhythm. Every experience, every setback, every victory, every failure. It's all sculpting you into the person you are meant to be. The more you compare, the more you delay that becoming. Let me remind you, you can appreciate someone else's light without dimming your own. You can celebrate others' success without feeling smaller. Their win is not your loss. Their path is not your map. You have your own lane, your own lessons, your own timing, and your own magic. So today, make a promise to yourself to stop keeping score. To stop looking at where everyone else is and start focusing on where you're going. Replace comparison with curiosity. Instead of asking, why not me? Start asking, what can I learn from this moment? That single shift in focus transforms envy into inspiration and turns pressure into purpose. When you focus on yourself, your healing, your growth, your joy, you reclaim your peace. You stop running a race you were never meant to win, and instead you start walking your own sacred path with grace. And that there is where real self growth begins. Silence the noise around you. There comes a time in life when you must decide what deserves your attention and what no longer does. The world is loud. So loud that it can drown out your truth if you let it. Everywhere you turn, there are voices telling you who to be, what to want, how to act, and what to chase. Everyone seems to have an opinion about your life, but here's the secret. None of them have to live it. Every day, you wake up and carry the weight of expectations. From family, from friends, from society, sometimes even from people who barely know you. You start to believe that to be accepted, you have to perform, that to be loved, you have to please, and that to belong, you have to become someone else. But the more you shape yourself to fit other people's expectations, the further you drift from who you truly are. You cannot hear your own voice when you're constantly listening to everyone else's. You cannot grow when you're always trying to please. Growth happens when you silence the world long enough to listen to yourself. And yes, silence can feel uncomfortable at first. Because in that quiet, the truth you've been avoiding starts to speak. But that truth, that whisper inside your heart, is your compass. It knows who you are and what you're meant to do. You don't need everyone to understand your journey. You don't need everyone to cheer for your dream. Some people won't get it, not because your dream is too big, but because their vision is too small. And that's okay. Your purpose doesn't need their permission. It only needs your commitment. When you focus on yourself, you stop asking for approval. You start trusting your intuition, that deep inner knowing that guides you toward what's real and right. The world may call you selfish for choosing yourself, but remember, It's not selfish to set boundaries. It's self-respect. It's not arrogant to say no. It's alignment. And it's not rude to walk away from noise. It's necessary for peace. The truth is, not every voice around you deserves to be heard. Some are driven by fear, jealousy, or insecurity. Some people project their own limitations onto you because they can't imagine more for themselves. But you can imagine a greater, freer. So protect your dreams like sacred ground. Guard your focus like gold. Every time you silence the outside noise, your inner clarity grows stronger. You begin to realize that peace is not found in the approval of others. It's found in your ability to stand firm in your truth. The moment you stop explaining yourself, stop defending your choices, stop trying to make everyone happy, you begin to live in freedom. It takes courage to choose quiet in a world that thrives on chaos. It takes strength to disconnect from opinions and reconnect with purpose. But that's what transformation looks like. Not loud, not dramatic, but steady, calm, and intentional. Remember this. Your life is your message, not your explanation. You don't owe anyone a justification for following your path. The people who are meant to walk with you will understand without needing words. The rest are simply background noise in the symphony of your life. So today, make a decision to turn down the volume of the world and turn up the volume of your heart. When you stop listening to the noise and start trusting your own rhythm, you discover something powerful. The peace you were searching for was always inside you. And once you find that peace, no amount of noise can ever take it away. Growth requires solitude. There is a sacred silence that life invites you into, a stillness that is often misunderstood, feared, or avoided. We live in a world that glorifies noise. Constant connection, endless scrolling, and perpetual comparison. As if being busy means being valuable, as if being surrounded means being loved. But here's the truth that few people want to face. Real growth requires solitude. Solitude is not loneliness. It is the space where your soul finally breathes, where your mind can hear your own thoughts, and where your heart learns to speak honestly. It's in those quiet moments when the world fades and you are left with nothing but yourself that you discover who you truly are. Most people run from solitude because it feels uncomfortable. The silence exposes everything we try to avoid. Our fears, our doubts, our regrets, our insecurities. It's easier to stay distracted than it is to face what's inside. But here's the paradox. The very pain you avoid is the pain that holds your healing. The discomfort you resist is the doorway to your transformation. When you choose solitude, you choose growth. You stop outsourcing your worth to other people's opinions. You stop waiting for validation from the world. You begin to create your own peace, your own rhythm, your own joy. It's not about cutting everyone off or living in isolation. It's about creating space for yourself to evolve without interference. Solitude is where clarity lives. It's where your purpose starts to whisper. In the quiet, your intuition grows stronger, your vision gets clearer, and your energy begins to align with what truly matters. You start realizing what you want, what you no longer need, and who you've outgrown. And though that realization can be painful, it's also freeing, because letting go of what no longer serves you is the first act of self-love. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in life don't happen when you're surrounded by people. They happen when you're alone, when it's just you, your thoughts, and your truth. That's when you finally hear the voice that says, "I'm proud of you. You've come far. You can do this." That voice, your own voice, becomes your anchor. We often confuse solitude with sadness, but it's actually a gift. It teaches you to be whole on your own. It teaches you that peace doesn't come from company. It comes from contentment. It reminds you that you don't need to chase people to feel loved or chase validation to feel worthy. You already are enough, just as you are, even when no one's watching. Think about the seed that grows into a tree. It doesn't grow in the spotlight. It grows underground. In darkness, in silence, in patience. That's what solitude does for you. It plants your roots deep in strength. So when your season to bloom arrives, you stand tall, unshaken by the storms around you. Don't be afraid of being alone for a while. That space you're in is not emptiness. It's preparation. It's where you build the foundation for the next version of yourself. And when you emerge from that stillness, you will carry a peace that no chaos can touch, a strength that no person can give you, and a clarity that no noise can steal. So take time for yourself, to sit in quiet, to reflect, to heal, to listen, because sometimes the most powerful growth doesn't happen when you're surrounded by others cheering you on. It happens when you are sitting in silence, realizing that you no longer need to be anyone else to feel whole. In solitude, you don't lose yourself. You finally meet yourself. Turn pain into power. There comes a point in every life when pain becomes the uninvited guest that refuses to leave. It shows up in heartbreak, in loss, in disappointment, and in failure. It knocks on your door without warning, sits at your table, and takes away your sense of peace. And when it does, you start to wonder, why now? How do I survive this? But here's the truth most people never tell you. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is your greatest teacher. It arrives not to destroy you, but to awaken you. It pulls you apart, yes, but only so you can rebuild yourself stronger, wiser, and more compassionate than before. Pain, when embraced with courage, becomes the pathway to power. It's easy to let pain define you. It's easy to carry bitterness, to replay the past, to hold on to what broke you. But that choice only keeps you stuck. When you focus on who hurt you, you hand them control over your peace. When you focus on what it taught you, you take your power back. That's the shift. The moment you decide that your pain will no longer be your prison, but your platform. Every scar has a story. Every wound has wisdom. And sometimes the healing doesn't happen all at once. It's slow, it's messy, and it's deeply personal. But that's what makes it powerful. Because through it, you learn patience, empathy, and resilience. You begin to understand that what once felt like ending was actually the beginning of your transformation. Think about it. The strongest trees are the ones that have endured the harshest storms. The deepest souls are the ones that have faced the darkest nights. Pain carves you open, but in doing so, it creates space for light to enter. It softens the parts of you that once judged, and it strengthens the parts of you that once doubted. It teaches you that survival is not enough. That thriving after pain is the real victory. You cannot avoid pain. No one can. But you can decide what it does to you. You can let it make you bitter, or you can let it make you brave. You can allow it to harden your heart, or you can allow it to open your eyes. The choice will always be yours. When you begin to see pain, not as punishment, but as purpose, something beautiful happens. You stop running from it. You start learning from it. You start seeing every tear as water for your growth. Every heartbreak as the crack where new light can shine through. You begin to use your experiences not to build walls, but to build wisdom. And the moment you do that, you transform. You turn your wounds into wisdom, your suffering into strength, your fear into faith. You stop saying, "Why did this happen to me?" And you start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" That's when your healing becomes power. That's when your past becomes purpose. Remember this: the people who hurt you, the moments that broke you, the seasons that tested you, none of them have the power to define you. They were chapters, not your conclusion. What defines you is how you rise, how you rebuild, and how you refuse to let the fire consume you. So, stop resenting your pain. Start respecting it. Stop asking when it will end and start asking what it came to reveal. Because your pain is not proof of weakness. It's evidence of your strength. And when you learn to turn your pain into power, you become unstoppable, unshockable, and beautifully human. Celebrate small wins. The power of progress in the journey of self-growth, we often overlook the small victories. We measure success by monumental achievements, by recognition, by applause, by how far we've climbed compared to others. But real transformation, the kind that lasts and changes your life from the inside out, often happens quietly, in moments no one sees, moments that feel insignificant at the time, but that build the foundation of greatness. Every time you wake up and make a choice to show up, to try again, to take one step forward when your mindy are begging you to quit, that is a victory. Every time you resist the urge to compare yourself to someone else Every time you choose gratitude over resentment, courage over fear, love over bitterness, that is progress. Those small wins, repeated day after day, accumulate into unstoppable momentum. Celebrate them. Celebrate the courage it took to make it through a difficult day. Celebrate the strength it took to say no to negativity. Celebrate the wisdom gained from a mistake. These moments may seem minor, even trivial, but they are proof that you are moving forward, growing, and becoming more aligned with your purpose. Too often, we wait for someone else to acknowledge our victories or for the world to give us permission to feel proud. But growth isn't about applause from the outside. It's about affirmation from within. When you celebrate your small wins, you are telling yourself, I see you. I honor you. I acknowledge your effort, and I value your journey. That acknowledgement fuels motivation, builds confidence, and reinforces the habit of persistence. It's also important to understand that small wins have a ripple effect. One positive action, one choice to rise, one moment of courage, one decision to be authentic can inspire the next. Your progress becomes contagious. Your growth motivates you to keep moving, and it encourages others to do the same. What seems like a tiny step in isolation may be the first spark that ignites a chain reaction of transformation in your life and in the lives of those around you. Life isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's not about never failing. It's about never stopping. The small wins teach you patience. They teach you that change doesn't happen in a single leap. It happens in 1,000 tiny steps, taken consistently. Sometimes when no one else is watching, sometimes when it feels too hard, and sometimes when you feel like giving up. Those are the moments that matter the most because they define your character, your resilience, and your inner strength. And here's another truth. Celebrating small wins trains your mind to focus on what's possible instead of what's missing. It shifts your energy from scarcity to abundance, from frustration to gratitude. It rewires your brain to see progress, not perfection. You start to notice the growth you never gave yourself credit for. You start to recognize the strength that has carried you through tough seasons. You start to believe in your ability to create a life that reflects your deepest values, dreams, and aspirations. So today, no matter where you are in your journey, take a moment to celebrate yourself. Celebrate that you showed up. Celebrate that you tried. Celebrate that you refused to quit. Because every small win is a building block. Every act of persistence is a step toward your greater self. And every acknowledgement of your effort is a seed of confidence and hope planted in your soul. Remember, growth is not always dramatic. It is cumulative. The small victories are the proof that you are evolving. They are the evidence that you are rising, becoming stronger, wiser, and more resilient. And when you honor them, you honor yourself, your journey, and the power that lies within you to transform your life. As we come to the close of this journey together, remember this. The world will always be loud, and people will always have opinions. There will always be someone ahead, someone behind, someone achieving more, someone achieving less. But your life is not defined by them. Your value is not determined by comparison. The only measure that matters is the one you create for yourself. When you stop looking outward and start looking inward, when you shift your focus from what others are doing to who you are becoming, you unlock a power that no one can take away. You realize that peace, growth, and fulfillment were never outside of you. They were always inside, waiting for your attention, waiting for your courage, waiting for your commitment. Every step you've taken in this speech, every keynote, every lesson, from silencing the noise, embracing solitude, turning pain into power, celebrating small wins, to protecting your energy. It all leads to one truth. Your focus is your freedom. The moment you decide to put yourself first, not in selfishness, but in self-respect, your entire world begins to change. The journey of self-growth is not easy. It requires courage, patience, and relentless commitment. It asks you to confront your fears, face your doubts, and rise above the distractions that try to pull you off course. But it also offers rewards beyond measure. Clarity, peace, confidence, and the joy of becoming who you were always meant to be. So take a deep breath and let it sink in. You are enough. You have what it takes. You are not behind. You are not lacking, and you are not defined by anyone else's path. The only approval you need is your own. The only competition that matters is the one between who you were yesterday and who you choose to become today. Step into your power. Honor your journey. Protect your focus. Celebrate every small victory and transform every challenge into a lesson. Remember that growth is a lifelong process, and every moment, every choice, every act of self-love is shaping the masterpiece that is you. And finally, know this. When you focus on yourself, when you commit to your growth, your life becomes a force not just for you, but for everyone around you. Your strength inspires, your courage uplifts, and your journey lights the way for others to rise. This is your growth. And it begins and ends with one simple truth. Focus on yourself, not them. Because the most powerful version of you is waiting to be unleashed.